So we're getting numbers back after the debates, and Biden's performance was so bad, about half of Democrats don't believe he should be running. Believe it or not, we actually had Democratic primaries. Biden ran against Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson. If they would have debated, we probably would have seen this earlier. The DNC are getting numbers back like this, and this is what's concerning them. Back in February, only 36% of registered Democrats thought Biden shouldn't run for re-election. Now it's 46, almost half. So if you're bad at debates, which is a real thing, there are people who are just bad at debating who are great political leaders. That's where podcasts come in. That needs to be Biden's damage control now. He needs to have a sit-down podcast where people can listen to him talk for like 3 hours. If he can do that, that would help him bring this number down. Does Biden have the mental and cognitive health to serve as president? At the beginning of this month, 65% of registered voters said he does not. Now, at the end of the month, 72% say that he does not. There are reports that say that Biden's aides say that he is really only active between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. These numbers are very concerning, and CBS is almost never like an outlier poll. Why shouldn't Biden be running for president? The top answer was his age at 86%. Decisions he might make in office, 71%. His record as president, 66%, which itself is really bad. And 59% the ability to campaign effectively. Trump has also been questioned about his age, but not nearly to the extent of Biden. Before Biden, Trump was the oldest president in U.S. history. Trump's numbers aren't very good at all either. Only half of registered voters say that Trump has the mental and cognitive health to serve as president. With Biden, it's only 27%. It was pretty obvious that Trump did a better job trying to relay his point, as many falsehoods as he told. He pretty much won the debate in every category, except for telling the truth. Biden won in that category. Which is true, I did full coverage of the debates, and I had to correct Trump a lot more than Biden. This whole debate was a giant gamble for President Biden. Remember, he's the one who challenged Trump.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
And that significantly backfired, because more people are going to watch that than him at his political rallies. Him at the debates was him at his worst. And it seems to be pretty believable about the whole Biden aides saying that he's most active between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. What we saw at the debates was him at 9 p.m. Here's him at a political rally after the debates at 1 p.m.
Remember, as a Biden, we're still a nation. I believe we're still a nation that believes in honesty and decency and treating people with respect. I still believe we're a nation that gives everyone a fair shot and leaves nobody behind.
He had more energy in that little clip than his entire debate. There is one more debate scheduled for September 10th, and that's probably not going to go well for him either. His best bet is to go on podcast and just do what he did at that rally. That could definitely backfire too, kind of like when he went on the Breakfast Club.
Then you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
I laughed my ass off when that first happened, because he meant well. One of the problems that black voters bring up pretty much every election cycle is that the Democrats act like they own the vote and they don't have to earn it. So that's why some people took issue to that statement, as funny as it was. There's an NBC News report that the White House is forcefully pushing back on that the Biden family would be discussing the future of the campaign during a gathering on Sunday at Camp David. He's actually just meeting up with his family at Camp David for a photo shoot. So the media is probably blowing it out of the water just a little bit, but it seems like the Democratic establishment has acknowledged these concerns, agree they have to, quote, make calibrations, but still rally behind them. One of the hosts from the debates, Dana Bash, was on CNN, and she was interviewing Democratic Congressman Jim Clyburn from South Carolina's 6th District, a close friend of Biden. He pretty much blamed it on everything except for Biden.
Do you understand why some Democrats, some independents who were not that interested in voting for Donald Trump and were considering voting for Joe Biden look at that and say, I just don't see it. I don't want to vote for him. What do you say to them?
I would say to them, take into account the record. Yes, it was a bad performance. I've been around these things. I've been a part of debate preparation before, and I know when I see what I call preparation overload. And that's exactly what was going on the other night. I saw Joe Biden.
No, that is definitely not debate prep overload. This is not debate prep overload.
Military person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Clyburn also brought up that political rally that I brought up earlier and tried saying, oh, that was him just freestyling. That was him at 1 o'clock and just freestyling full energy. Now, it's true that he had a lot more energy, but he was definitely reading from a teleprompter, and she was not going to let that slide.
What I call preparation overload. And that's exactly what was going on the other night. I saw Joe Biden rapping for words and phrases and even numbers that he was loaded up with. The next day, he gets to North Carolina, he's freewheeling, and he captivated the audience. And that's what we should do. The debate preparation can be tough, but you got to really do a good job of preparing the candidate, not just with information, but with style, with deflection, and the kinds of things that we did not see in Joe Biden the other night and saw it 4 years ago.
I believe on Friday in North Carolina, he had a teleprompter, but I want to ask about something that you mentioned.
Clyburn even tried blaming the rules of the debates, which Biden agreed to, and they were really catered to help Biden. No crowd, that was for Biden. Mute mics, that was for Biden.
So that, to me, was not the way to plan the debate, and whoever did that or agreed to that really should think about what they're doing.
Yeah, okay. Well, it was a debate agreed to by President Biden first, who proposed this debate. Should the president release his full medical records? Would that help?
Well, I think both of them should release this. The president will release his. When has Trump released records? He's released a bunch of foolishness from two doctors, one of whom is serving in the Congress now and is being challenged with his performance while being a doctor in the White House. One of them called his prescription the candy store.
So in December 2015, Trump did release some medical records, but the physician at the time that signed that document later said that Trump basically dictated what he wrote in that report. And you can kind of tell when you read it. Especially the last line. If elected, Mr. Trump, I can state unequivocally, will be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency. I'm surprised it doesn't say, he is the healthiest patient in the history of patients. The doctor that Clyburn said ran a prescription candy store is Rep. Ronnie Jackson of Texas's 13th District, who worked for the Trump administration. While he was in the White House serving under Trump, a lot of sleeping pills and opioids were prescribed when they weren't supposed to be. He was regularly handing out Ambien and Provigil to West Wing officials traveling on overseas flights. In fact, his nomination to the Secretary of the VA inadvertently exposed the widespread use of sleep and alertness drugs amongst government officials from the White House, the State Department, the Pentagon, and Congress itself. So as far as medical records that Trump have produced, according to the physicians themselves that signed off on them, they are not reliable. President Biden's doctor released a 6-page report back in February detailing his health. He says his condition is stable and well controlled. It includes obstructive sleep apnea, AFib with normal ventricular response, hyperlipidemia, gastroesophageal reflux, seasonal allergy, spinal arthritis, sensory peripheral neuropathy of the feet, but nothing at all when it comes to declining cognitive ability. So this might be a hot take of mine, but I think the Sleepy Joe allegations are a bit more true than the declining cognitive health. I think both things are present, just much more him being low energy, because he's in his 80s. When it comes to registered voters concerned about Biden's cognitive abilities, you're going to see more polls with similar numbers. And they know that. So what they're going to try to do is get those numbers down. High energy rallies, people in the crowd pumping up the Biden supporters. High energy Biden. Biden before 4 o'clock. That, with a couple of carefully scripted podcasts, would actually help him. But he cannot have a repeat of this debate in September.
Folks, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up. I know what it took to take our economy from the depths of the pandemic to where it is today, the strongest economy in the world.
At the very least, it needs to be addressed publicly because the voters are concerned. But again, I don't think it's a decline in a cognitive ability to a point where he can't serve. I just think he's too old to be president, and the Sleepy Joe allegations are probably more true.